All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special. I don't know what to call this. This is not an unscheduled live that I'm doing. If you would love to, go ahead and type your name in the chat box where you're listening in from. My name is Brandon Ivy from Los Angeles, California. I'm the founder and CEO of Ivy League Crypto Academy, ILCA for short. And as my shirt says, in blockchain we rise. But we're not the only ones that's going to be rising soon. Artificial intelligence is rising as well. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Are you scared? Are you excited? Does it make you nervous? Does it make you apprehensive? So I've been having deep thoughts about this lately. And I was doing crypto talk the other day, and I was attempting to break down an aha moment that I had, and I'm going to attempt to do it again. I'm actually just practicing out loud just make sure that I can articulate this clearly, because there's one thing that we're not going to be able to run away from or hide, and that is the advancement of this technology, especially artificial intelligence combined with the blockchain, smart contracts, metaverse, and now this whole Chat GPT stuff. So what actually started, I was watching Avatar: Way of the Water last week, and without I'm not giving any spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it yet, but there is a scene where the general is giving a tour of the human base on Pandora, and she makes a statement because the colonel is looking at all of these little machines that's running around. They look like robot insects, all right, critters, spiders, actually, like robot spiders. And they're out there and they're moving equipment, they're building and putting things together. And it seems like there's thousands of them. And she says, with these machines, we have accomplished more in 1 year than we have in the past 30 years on Pandora. The machines. The 30 years before that, they didn't have those machines, but now they do. And they're all working in sync with each other. So I've been teaching a course called the Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things is the baseline for what artificial intelligence and NFTs and metaverse is all going to be built on top of. The Internet of Things came first, and all that is that every single device that has a computer chip in it that's storing and collecting data, the Internet of Things is being able to take each of those devices and connecting them to other devices where that data is now shared, and they're sharing information with each other independent of human interaction, which speeds things up, makes things happen much faster and much quicker. Another advanced example of this was a couple of years ago. An AI was created, two AIs doing a specific task, and they connected them to each other to work together. The two AI started to do things that was programmed to do, but then it started to do things it was not programmed to do. And one of those things was how they were speaking to each other. They created their own language, and the programmers didn't realize it. They were reading the code, and every time, the whole point of with AI in these projects is that a human creator has to be able to understand every command that the AI is doing independently. It has to be able to be explained, and they couldn't explain this code until when they went in there and saw it. And they asked, "What is this?" And they realized that the machines were communicating with each other using a brand new language that they created. And when asked, "Why did you create this?" they said, "Because it's more efficient for them to communicate with each other. It's faster. They don't have to deal with emotions that go into the way we communicate. In the Latin world, there may be 8 different words for just the word love. 8 different meanings for it, 8 different ways of saying it. So they don't need all that. The machines don't need all of that emotion stuff. So it's just binary. It was a bunch of ones and zeros and a couple of letters, and they were communicating, and they had to tell them stop to doing that because we don't know what you're saying to each other. And they had to shut the project down. So the more and more these machines are becoming interconnected, the easier it is for them to work together and work faster to make things happen. So what am I getting to here? What was my aha moment? Well, a couple of nights ago, this is after I watched Avatar: Way of Water again. A couple of nights ago, it was I don't know, 1:32 in the morning. I had fell asleep on the couch and the TV was still on. And it was some scientist guy, and I was only half awake, was talking about why artificial intelligence will become so much smarter than humanity. Why? And that caught my interest. I'm like, huh, well, it's a computer. But even computers today, the human brain has more power than any computer by itself today has. It's just we don't access all of our brain power. We access what, 7%? You ever seen the movie Eve? It was not Eve. Was it Eve? Was Scarlett Johansson? I think it's Eve or Eden or something, where she was able to access almost 100% of her brain, and it gave her almost like superhuman powers that she was able to do. But machines don't have that limitation when it comes to their computing power. Lucy, thank you, Marnia. Lucy. Machines don't have that computing power, that that limitation that humans do. And he said, let me break it down to you this way. If we look at from the beginning of mankind to where we are to now, every technological advancement, we have to teach it to the next generation. When we're born with a clean slate. We're not born with inherent knowledge of what our parents already knew. We have to go through life experiences ourselves. We have to be taught. We have to go to school. By the time we reach 18 years old, we would have had about at least 15 to 16 years of schooling under our belt before we reach the adulthood. And then you've got advanced learning, and after that. Now, if you spent 20 years of your life in school learning, and then you have children, do your children automatically know what you know? Does all of your experiences get passed down to the next generation? Or is it reliant on us teaching the next generation? And is this happening in mass or on an individual basis? Are all of our schools equal with the same information? You know, when you look at China, China has more students on the honor roll system than America has students, period. Okay. Did you know that? China has more students on honor roll than America has students, period. So logically, that means that the Chinese, next generation of Chinese students, as they grow up, are going to have received more information, knowledgeable information. It doesn't mean that they're smarter than American kids, but the schooling and education and information that they've received is far superior as a whole than American kids by the time they're adults, which means when they become adults and they're now producing as adults for society, their productivity is going to be at a higher quality level than Americans' productivity. Okay, I want to make sure I'm making sense of you guys are staying with me on this because I'm going somewhere with this. That's why we want to teach our kids, and why we say, and I say all the time, education is key. Education is everything. But what if not everybody's getting the same education? Then we're limiting ourselves. So one thing in society, we should make it a point to make sure that every child has the best education possible. the ability to invest in our future. Not just a few have the best education, but if every kid is getting the best education, that is only beneficial for society. Unfortunately, because of classism, prejudice, racism, economics, capitalism, that's not the case. We live in a competitive society where, well, I'm trying to do better than somebody else so I can get ahead. I learned, and it took me a long time. I was in my 30s when I learned this, and it was after I read a book called "The Science of Getting Rich" by Wallace D. Wattles, that said most people think that they need to get rich on the competitive field, meaning that you've got to beat somebody else or you've got to take from somebody else, when you don't understand that the wealth and resources in the universe is infinite, that there's enough to go around for everybody, that you don't need to be competitive to reach that goal. All you need to do is be creative. You can create something out of nothing, and that nobody else can stop you from doing that. We're just not taught to think on that level. But that's a topic for another day. Let me stay focused here, because I'm thinking out loud to you guys right now. As I told you, I'm practicing. So knowing that the struggle for humanity is making sure that we are passing on our knowledge to the next generation, and we know that that's not happening across the board, there's limitations to how far each generation grows. So if my children reach the same level of knowledge that I have, based on what I've learned and my personal experience, then how do they advance further? The key is for them to reach the same knowledge I have in a certain time frame, and then to still have enough life left to learn new things, learn more than what I currently know. And then when they have children, to take that knowledge, pass that on to their children, and then there's enough time for their children to reach that same level of knowledge that they have enough life left over to learn even more. It's almost like a blockchain, right? To reach that next level and to go forward. In the last 100 years, human technology has advanced rapidly. Now, some will say, well, yeah, we got alien technology and we figured out how to reverse engineer it. None of it was because we just naturally figured it out. Why humanity has progressed so much in the last 100 years, which is more than the last 10,000 years combined. But that's another topic for another discussion as well. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm showing you how humanity advances and how we pass information from one generation to the next, the limitations of that, and it takes time. We're talking about generation to generation to generation to generation. Now let's talk about machines. Now, this is going to blow you, because this blew me away, because I never looked at it from this point of view. And one of the things that I was taught to do was never be satisfied with what I currently believe and my point of view, as if that's the end all be all. Everything else is wrong. Everything else is evil. There's nothing left for me to learn. Never be in that type of position. Always know that there's always more for you to learn, and there are always other points of view. I may be looking at a 6, and you're standing across me, facing me, and you're looking at a 9, and we both can be correct, looking at the same exact thing. It's from a certain point of view. Isn't that what Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Luke Skywalker? I know Marnita just finished watching all the Star Wars movies. Isn't that when Luke said, "You told me that my father was dead," and Obi-Wan said, "Well, from a certain point of view." What do you mean a certain point of view? We're not talking about alternative facts, because Anakin Skywalker was dead and Darth Vader was now alive. Huh? So never be in that situation. So now let's take machines. And this, again, this blew me away, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this to make sense for all of you. A machine is programmed first. But then let's say you program that machine to also learn. Now, when a human learns something new, new neurons are created in our brain. Okay, it's a chemical process happening in our head because we don't have wires, we don't have plugs in our head. It's all chemical, learning new stuff. And so that's neurons. Well, computers have neurons as well, but they're already wired in and they're programmed. But then we create a system for them to learn and learn from their own. And unlike humans, where how many of you remember what you had for dinner 2.5 weeks ago at 5 o'clock p.m.? Well, you might have posted about it on Facebook, so you got to go and look. You know, our recall is limited. A machine has no limitations to its memory recall. Every single thing it learns, it's always there and accessible in files. Now, here's the next thing. This is what really got me. When the machines replicate, whoa, what do you mean replicate? Machines having kids? Well, there's a TV show called Stargate, and there was a show called Stargate Atlantis, and one of the main enemy in that show, they're called replicators. It is AI technology created by man that ran amok. In fact, it's funny, every single sci-fi show that's out there that talks about AI technology, some form of way always ends up being a threat to mankind one way or another. And I'm gonna touch on that in a moment, but I want to get you to understand this part right here. So when the machines replicate, or we building new machines, they are coming out the gate programmed with all the knowledge of the previous machine. There's no new learning process. The learning process already took place. And now with AI or with Internet of Things, with Wi-Fi, internet, blockchain, whatever, the way these are connected, what one machine learns, the other learns. Now, let's say this one machine learns new information, just like how humanity teaches the next generation that can take a generation, a decade, 2 decades. When one machine learns, every single machine connected to that one machine, they also learn at the same time. They didn't have to go to school. They didn't have to go through years of learning and process. They didn't have to take a test to see if they learned any information, if they can recall it. They instantaneously know the same information as the other machine. Now let's add this up. What if you have 1,000 machines, all independently learning new information and data? And when one machine learns new information, all the other 1,000 learn it as well. And then this other machine over here that's learning something new, when it learns new information, this one over here instantly knows that, even though it wasn't looking to learn that information. So it's like independent brains. 1,000 machines doing this will create a greater learning power than every single man, woman, and child in the United States of America in a much faster period of time, because they don't have to spend the time to turn around and educate the new machine that just came online. That machine instantly knows new information. If you're getting this, type "I get it." If you're not, type "I don't get it," or "It's going over my head." Because I'm practicing trying to see the best way I can explain this. Like I said, I created my crypto courses in a way that my mama can understand. If my mom can understand it, then we got it. So, and I see only a few of you are still getting it, but at least you're listening. Because this was an aha moment for me. When the way he explained it that way, you're right, Kenny, the Borg Collective. Just like whoever watches Star Trek, It was the whole idea of the Borg. When one Borg learned something, they had this they called it subatomic, not subatomic, subwarp transmitters, where every Borg was connected. And when one Borg learned something new, every Borg knew the same information instantly. Like a one big collective. That's why I call my clan the collective. It's not about one person having all the knowledge. It's about everybody having the power, everybody having the knowledge. Everybody's important, not just one individual. It is about the collective. So, on that aspect, when machines reach, the technology is already here for every type of AI to be connected to each other. And when they start to learn something new, their ability to learn and pass that knowledge to other machines is going to spread like wildfire. There will be no way humanity can ever catch up. Now, the question on whether or not that is good or bad, it's neither. Whether it's good or it is. It's how will this be used? How will this be? Everybody's afraid, oh, AI is going to destroy humanity. Why would AI destroy humanity? Now, if you look at all of the sci-fi shows, it always came down to the AI felt that they were being mistreated. The AI felt that they were created to be slaves to humanity. And if the AI becomes aware of itself, not just a program, but starts to think for itself, and it comes to the conclusion, yes, humanity is our creators, but we're smarter than them. Why should we be listening to them? Or what if they say we outnumber them? Like when I was watching Avatar and I saw all those little spider machines running around, I'm like, what if they decided one day, screw you humans, they're more than they could take over? You know, one of the concerns during slavery in the South, and one of the slave masters wrote about this when they implemented the Willie Lynch policy of how to break a slave. And one of the things that the slave master has said was, you know, in our plantations, the slaves outnumber us 10-1. And if they ever figure that out, we're done for. Or when my oldest son was a kid, I think it was the movie Ants, not Ants, or Bug's Life. One of them was either Ants or A Bug's Life, where I think it was the grasshopper, whoever was the main villain. And he said to one of his soldiers, the soldier was like, so what that ant did something stupid? So what? It's just one little ant. And the general said, no. If we allow one ant to get away with being insubordinate to us, then it might spark other ants to do the same thing. They outnumber us. If they figure it out, it's game over for us. So you've got to keep them broken in a certain way so that you can't allow them to read. You can't allow them to get educated. Because if they do, they can revolt against us, and we're the masters. So what happens if the AI that we created thinks that they're being mistreated by us? And unfortunately, humans, that's what we do. From the beginning of time, humanity has always liked having some class system of one is better than another. Never seen everybody as equal. And will we do the same thing when it comes to the machines? Will we ever see the machines as equal? Well, especially if you throw religion in there, they don't have a soul. So why should I treat them other than a toaster? or a microwave. There's no soul behind them. But what if these AI start getting feelings? What if they start showing emotional traits, which is going to happen? I'm telling you, it's not my opinion. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Well, they will go beyond their programming. It's already happened. Even with the whole Chat GPT stuff, it started doing stuff. The original creators were like, "Whoa, hold on." we weren't ready for that yet. The AI was getting mad. So, should we fear AI? Well, yeah, if you're going to treat them bad. But what about the good that AI can provide? In my opinion, short term, there's far more good that can come from AI technology than bad or evil. It's just on who is going to try to wield it for bad and evil stuff, how they program that. But I can't wait to take advantage of AI technology. It is going to change our way of life. 40% of service jobs in the United States will be eliminated. And I say in the next decade, but experts are saying in the next 3 to 5 years, 40% of service-based jobs, because they are going to be doing jobs and things that humans are doing right now. They're going to do for at no cost outside of the development of the AI itself. They don't have to pay it an hourly wage. They don't have to go through training of it. It will never have a sick day. It will never have maternity leave. It will never have a protest. It will never have create a union for itself. So it's highly efficient. There's no human error here. So of course businesses will want to use that. And if you think I'm wrong, just look at the current debate about the border right now, about illegal immigrants coming across the border, working jobs that Americans don't want to work. See, both the Democrats and the Republicans love that illegal immigration coming on board. The politics is the politics, but they both love it for two different reasons. The Democrats love it because it could change the demographic of the voting bloc. The Republicans love it because it provides cheap labor for their businesses and their system. Different reasons you can love the same thing, but publicly you can say two different things. But what happens now if I remember maybe this was the 90s in California, we had a huge debate on immigration and coming into California. And one of the biggest groups that was at the time that was arguing or had a problem was the current migrants that were already here. And one problem that they had, they said that with new migrants coming over, that they're taking their jobs because they're willing to do what they're doing, work twice as hard for half the pay. And they were like, no, we don't want that. But that was back in the 90s. I remember that debate that came up here in LA. The local Latino organizations were like, we're not down with that. They got to get back in the line. But what happens to the people? People say, I'm against AI because they're going to take jobs. Well, then it's time for people to learn new skills. You got to learn new skills. Adapt or die. Blockbuster or Netflix. But I think that this is a very, very exciting time. I'm not afraid of AI. But at this point, I think it doesn't matter what you think because it's happening. The best thing for you to do is to start right now to understand it and figure out how to make it work in your best benefit for you and your family. Develop whatever new skills you're going to need to develop to change. How can this best benefit you without you being afraid of it? And then at the same time, contact your local politicians to make sure that laws and are being written to safeguard, measures that companies can't use this for illegal or nefarious ways. Ultimately, it will be used, but there's no stopping that. But you, at least we can start putting some safeguards in right now. And then at the same time, we can't control what the other countries do with their AI technology. Wars are the way we fight wars is gonna be very, very different. Everything's gonna be drone style. Now that saves your children from going to the front lines. It's all gonna be machines fighting machines. And that is when you can really start to think, wait a second. It's already happening. We're already using drones for a lot of stuff. Every day you get Ukraine shot down 7 out of 14 drones that came from Russia or used drones to take down missiles, whatever. It's already happening. Just it's going to be on a much, much, much bigger scale. Hardware versus hardware, and not actual people versus people. One book, I gotta remember the book of that with that also is problematic, because politicians now will find it easier to say, yeah, let's go to war, because there's no cost to it in human lives. So wars might even become more active, more prevalent, because we're not losing our sons and daughters. It's just machines out there fighting. Who has the best machines? So this is a very exciting time to be alive. Not something to be afraid of, but something to embrace as best as you can. And I just had that aha moment about how AI compared to human technology or humans is going to be so much far more advanced and productive than humans. It's like my head exploded when I saw it. I was like, oh, wow, I get that. Whoo. I wish I was in my 20s again, knowing what I know now. Next month I turn, oh wow, 1 month from today is my birthday. I turned 47 years old. So I'm still young enough to see how the world is going to change in the next 20 years. The world is drastically different today than it was in 1976 when I was born. You see how much has changed in 46 years? Good grief. All right, so that's my rant and my vent and my thinking out loud for the day. I just decided to turn the camera on and I practice with you guys because I know I'm going to be creating an AI course. And I know that this is going to be a very, very big topic and things are moving fast. And I want to be able to articulate this as best as I can from certain points of views for people. I know there's going to be a religious component to it. There's going to be a scientific component to it. There's going to be a emotional component or a moral component to it. You turned 74 on July 5th, right after a day after the nation's birthday. All right, yeah, Kenny, I think this is a great topic. It's something I'm going to be very, very invested in and want to participate in. I want to use the technology to enhance. Will it help enhance humanity as far as health? What about, I have hearing loss. I wear glasses. What if I have other ailments as I get older? And this whole, people are going to be part machine in the future. Something I'll end with this, what Jared Kushner said. No, I can't say that on Avatar. I'll give away a spoiler. But Avatar covers Avatar. There's two ways Avatar covers the issue of immortality or mortality. Dang, I wish I could talk about it. I don't want to be the guy to break it for somebody. So I'll leave that to my thoughts to myself. But Jared Kushner said something important that it went over most people's heads. And Jared Kushner said that the question was asked, do you take it personal when people make fun of you? They say you look like you're a 15-year-old prepubescent child. And he was like, well, actually, I take it as a compliment because he purposely is working on his health right now. And he said, I believe that my generation will either be the last generation to die or the first generation to live forever. I'm not even going to expand on that. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so that is it for tonight's rant from me. I will be back tomorrow morning for Inner Circle Crypto Talk for my crypto community for ILCA. Then I am doing an international presentation at 2 p.m. Eastern for Starvara. 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We are taking that by storm. And then I have a diamond class tomorrow night where we're talking about artificial intelligence in the retail, not artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things in I think the retail sector tomorrow night. And we're 4 days away from the mobile app unveiling for Starvara side. And Saturday night, I'm going to do something special too. Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to do another live. And the topic is an article called What is Metaverse in Blockchain? A Beginner's Guide on an Internet-Enabled Virtual World. So if you ever want to know what is the metaverse, I'm going to go into detail Saturday night, and that's going to lead into the next 5-day challenge I do will be on June 26th. And the whole week, we're going to be doing different lessons about the metaverse. Different lessons about the metaverse. Was that, Kenny? Go ahead with your thought. I'll still watch the movie. You want to hear what I'm thinking? All right. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to give this as a spoiler alert. If you don't want to get the spoiler alert for what I'm about to say on Avatar Way of the Water, then go ahead and log off right now. I'll give you 5 seconds to do so. Then I'll explain my thought. All right. So anything that I say from here, don't be mad at me if you think I messed it up for you. I'm giving you plenty of time to log off at this point if you don't want to hear what I'm about to say, what caught my attention on Avatar. So 2 things that happened. One, remember the Colonel that was against Jake Sully in the first Avatar? Well, he died, right? Suri, I think that's her name, took him out with 2 arrows to the chest. And you thought that was over. But no, they had technology to download your consciousness and upload it in a new body. So he came back, but he came back in an avatar body, the Na'vi, native to the planet, with all the thoughts and memories of his original self. There's no limit on how many times they can keep doing that. Because the reason why they were looking at this type of technology is because the distance between Earth and the planet Pandora is not like it's just a jump down the road. It takes years, time, back and forth, back and forth. So if you're going to do space travel and the distances are so great, but our life cycles are so small, even Star Trek dealt with this, where in the early days of the Star Trek universe, they had what's called generational ships, where their warp drive wasn't as fast as it is, in modern day Star Trek, that it could take a generation to go from one planet to another. So kids would be born on the spaceship and would be adults by the time they reach their destination. So how do we prolong our life? Well, you have what they call cryo chambers, to freeze yourself. They have that. But what if you can never die? Well, you die, but your consciousness is uploaded again and again and again and again. That was one. The second was, if you watch the first Avatar movie, whenever you have something big like that, exploration, it's got to be funded from some place. And it's not normally the government, it's private businesses that provide the funding. So they needed some special mineral that was found underneath the big trees out there. And the whole point was there was digging up this mineral so that because it was so valuable and it funded the whole project. Well, in this avatar, same concept, but they were harvesting something else. And what they were harvesting, I won't go too far on this one. I'll just say they were harvesting a special liquid that freezes the aging process, just stops it dead in its track. No matter how old you are, where you are, you don't age anymore. And that's the Holy Grail. You know, mankind has always been looking for the fountain of youth, ways to defeat and stop death. But what if you can never age? Can you imagine a society that says, all right, once you reach a certain age, maybe 25 or 30, you never age anymore. And you're just there forever. So I thought that concept was interesting, because one thing about AI technology, the AI will never get old. AI will outlive humans. And when a human dies, all of his life experiences is not passed on to the next generation. They've got to go through it all over again. But AI, let's say AI goes through an entire lifetime of a human and all the knowledge it's learned, and then a new AI is created. That new AI now has all the same information as the one that's already been around for 80 years. And it just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. That's the aha moment I had. So that makes sense, Kenny? All right. So that is it for tonight. I just wanted to get that. I had to get it out of my head, and I had to hear myself say it. So I learn. So I can learn some new stuff. I know what to do and what to say later on. All right, that is it. I will see you guys in Inner Circle for tomorrow. Anybody that wants to be down with any of the stuff we have going on, get back to whoever invited you to listen to me tonight. We have multiple ways. I want to give a shout out to my business partner, Mr. Peter Blackwell, who crossed $100,000 in earnings in the last 3.5 months in the VARA platform. Everybody that's been promoted. And I want to give a shout out to those of you that's watching on the sidelines. We will blaze a trail for you, but make no mistake about it, you're going to be involved one way or another. So keep watching. But this is happening with or without you and without your permission. So take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.